Did you ever have a day where you just needed to release some stress? Well, I've got good news for you. This Halloween Play Me Pick features a highly cinematic game with an all-too-familiar storyline, while using a stick to bludgeon humans transformed into grotesque beings. The Callisto Protocol, developed by Striking Distance Studios, is a survival horror video game set in the year 2023 on Jupiter's moon, Callisto. Players assume the role of Jacob Lee, an independent cargo transporter. After crash landing on Callisto, Jacob is imprisoned in the high-security Black Iron prison, which is soon overrun by mutated inmates suffering from a mysterious infection. The story unveils layers of corporate conspiracy tied to the United Jupiter Company and the ambitions of Warden Duncan Cole, who aims to create the next stage of human evolution. It offers a compelling storyline with engaging character development and unexpected twists. The game combines elements of combat, narrative progression, and atmospheric design to create an eerie horror experience. The combat of the Callisto Protocol focuses primarily on melee combat, utilizing a stun baton as the primary weapon. In close-quarter combat, players can nimbly evade enemy attacks using the game's ease-of-use dodge mechanic. The dodge mechanic is well-suited for one-on-one combat, but becomes cumbersome when facing multiple enemies. Although the game offers a variety of upgradable and customizable firearms, such as hand cannons, shotguns, and assault rifles, the emphasis on melee combat and ammunition management often takes precedence over the gunplay aspects. The GRP, Gravity Restraint Projector, allows you to pull or push enemies and objects. Strategically placed fans and spikes can be used to quickly eliminate enemies. While this dangerous setup may seem bizarre, it is a deliberate gameplay choice to provide players the opportunity to eliminate enemies using the GRP tool. Could you imagine working here? How many days without a workplace injury? I'm gonna guess 0. First, I have a few criticisms. Auto dodge. To evade enemy attacks, hold the left stick firmly to the left or right. When an enemy attacks, they will miss, and you can then quickly move the stick in the opposite direction to successfully evade the next attack. The dodge mechanic makes encounters a bit trivial and seriously detracts from the survival aspect. Next level Perfect Dodge has a reward with counterattack opportunities, but the execution honestly is a headache. I was working toward unlocking the achievement, Float Like a Butterfly. 50 dodges later, by happenstance, I triggered a perfect dodge. The trick: you have to fiddle with the stick prior to committing to the dodge. I've never played a game with this mechanic, and I've played hundreds of games. This was so unnatural. The game's firearms feel uninspired, offering little in the way of innovation. Players are incentivized to simply choose the highest DPS weapon available, rather than having more diverse strategic options. Incorporating more unique weapons, such as pulse rifles, railguns, or even industrial equipment, could have introduced new and engaging gameplay mechanics. While the firearms themselves are serviceable, they ultimately come across as basic and lacking in creativity. I've asked myself, is this a horror survival or action adventure? The game excels in creating a tense atmosphere, grotesque enemy design, immersive environment with stunning visuals and sound design that enhance the horror experience. I was very impressed with the cinematic presentation. At times it felt like I was watching a movie. This game, like Hellblade 2, suffers from an imbalance of graphics to combat. There is a certain stiffness during combat that I believe is attributed to attempting to maintain visual fidelity. But I will stand by my words. The stunning graphics create immersive environments that drew me into the game's world. How can you not be impressed? I never felt an overwhelming sense of impending doom around every corner. Once I settled in, learned the game's feel, it felt it best to approach engagement heads-on. Midway through the game, a new blind enemy with heightened hearing was introduced. Then I opted for a stealthy approach, carefully eliminating enemies one by one. This patient playstyle proved effective, despite the game's frustrating design choice of suddenly spawning multiple enemies after advancing into a room. The excessive use of this game design element became absurdly comical. You may criticize my taste, but honestly, I enjoyed the game. It takes roughly 8 to 12 hours to complete. For players seeking a greater challenge or more achievements, there's New Game Plus and a hardcore mode. If you're open to challenges, try completing the game in Contagion mode with no deaths. That's next for me after I finish New Game Plus. The Callisto Protocol culminates with profound implications for its characters, particularly Jacob and Danny. The ending leaves many questions, including the fates of Jacob, Danny, and Warden Cole. It was the perfect ending, setting the stage for a potential sequel, which unfortunately won't happen. The game's strong foundation and promising potential could have been elevated further given the chance. The Callisto Protocol ultimately showcases both its potential and shortcomings, with a strong premise and atmosphere marred by execution flaws, particularly in repetitive combat choices and narrative coherence. While it may not have met the high expectations set by its predecessors, it successfully establishes itself within the survival horror genre. If you like the content, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.